Good morning from Monarch Lakes. I'm Hadassa Prudent, and as we promised you from last night, this morning, an all-in exclusive.
Obviously, race relations in this country have come a long way. We just elected a black president, our first.
I've always made the argument over several years now that America, in fact, before the election of Barack Obama, that we are in a post-racial America.
It's getting tiring. We have a black president. We have black senators. We have black heads of captains of business companies. We have black entertainment channels. Where is there racism? I don't think there's racism.
You hear it often these days. The notion that the election of our president, President Barack Obama, provides a redemption for all of our nation's racial history, that it represents a final break from racial harms in this nation. But are we really living in an all-new country, void of all the racial unpleasantness in our recent history? Well, let's see what our fellow Africans think about this issue. Take a look.
We have 50 years of kind of trying to fix 350 years of really, really immoral wrong. And you think of it that way, I'm not sure how it becomes much of a question. Like, it just seems like common sense. It's pretty clear. Mm-hmm. You know, if I said, I'm going to spend 350 years mistreating a group of people, and in 50 years haltingly going back and forth, kind of trying to fix it, kind of not, or maybe I'll just, stop doing some of the worst stuff I was doing. Well, what would be your expectation for the socioeconomic indicators for that group of people? Looked at it from that perspective, I think African Americans are about exactly where we would expect them to be. There's something.
Tell me about that.
Yes, well, basically, slavery and genocide has impacted not only the historical populations that were kidnapped from Africa, but also those of us who are the descendants of the enslaved today. And it's not only about trauma and multi-generational oppression. The whole discussion around wealth, there has been unjust enrichment to Britain, and there's also been unjust impoverishment, which has been passed on throughout the generations. So part of the legacy is this huge inequality that we see today between the descendants of the enslavers and the descendants of the enslaved.
From these two clips, we can conclude that racism, although it may not be blatant and obviously alive, the legacy of racism is there. The legacy of racism is alive and very visible in American everyday life, politics, socioeconomics, as well as in other countries like Britain, as mentioned in the last clip you just saw. So let's get to the core, the meat of this video. What does the word reparation mean?
Defined in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the act of making amends or giving satisfaction for a wrong or injury.
So the big question is, should the former enslaving nations, including the U.S., be responsible to pay reparations to the victims of genocide, racial apartheid, racial segregation, slavery, and the slave trade? To help us answer this question, we have with us a very special guest, Reverend Wilner Prudent, who is the founder of the Pentecostal Church of Miami and the HASH Foundation, which stands for Haitian American Christian Heritage Foundation. Thank you so much for being with us, Reverend.
Nice to be with you here.
Great. So let's get right into it. The first question I'd like to ask you is, what do you think about this? Can countries really be held responsible for crimes that they committed hundreds of years ago?
Absolutely, yes.
Why is that?
Because of the consequences. Because all of those issues that you just mentioned, they are consequences of what all those colonial countries have done to the Caribbeans and all other countries in Africa. And I think around the world they are now again suffering until on the 21st century. We still are suffering psychologically all those events, bad situations that had happened at that time.
Okay, so you are originally from the Caribbean, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so give us some examples of what bad things that the Haitian, the Caribbean islands are suffering as a result of the legacy of slavery.
It is evident when you see the misery of those countries, especially Haiti. Mm-hmm. We've been, suffering since our independence, 1804. Now it's over 200 years. since we see all those situations in our country. The lands are dry. Our people, they don't have good tools to work the land. They don't have jobs. They don't have factories. They don't have anything to live. And all those colonial countries, they are doing well. And I think it is now the time to think about reparation because they need to raise their level of living.
What do you think they're looking for exactly?
I think money is not enough.
Okay.
We need education now because to take the slavery and all the sufferings and the minds of the black people, we need to educate them first. And after that to rebuild, because we cannot forget the slavery,
Yes.
but we can forgive and move on.
Very well said, Reverend. Again, I'm Hadassa Prudent. Thank you so much for tuning in.